Really looking forward to delivering this presentation. I know it's going to be pretty quick. I'll be jam-packed with lots of, hopefully, information that you'll find very useful for you. But this is something that I've been very passionate about for at least 20 years since forming Agility Consulting, trying to write about it and share about it. And hopefully some of you have actually received an article that I recently wrote about leadership agility fitness. So let's move forward and have a little bit of context for why even be talking about leadership agility. Well, I think you can see, and you've certainly talked about it throughout the conference already. COVID-19 has been a major disruptor for everyone, small, large, medium-sized organizations. It doesn't make any difference. But the reality is that is not the only disruption that we're currently seeing. It's digital disruption, virtual work, cybersecurity, the gig economy, and there's a term that's utilized that has been utilized for probably about I would say about past 10 years. That's called VUCA, and that has perhaps been shared with you earlier, but it is a concept and a term that I wrote about 10 years ago when I authored an article called Leadership Agility, a Business Imperative for a VUCA World. So that was 10 years ago, and the business imperative is very relevant now as it was 10 years ago. One of the things that we're all faced with right now is that what we like to refer to as the new world of work. And there are questions that we all need to ask in terms of how does work get done, who does it, where's the work performed, et cetera. That's all impacting what we like to refer to as that new world of work. And it's challenging, and it's challenging for leaders. And hence one of the reasons why I'm here today to really focus in on leadership agility is certainly a solution to that. But a way of being able to explain that so that hopefully everyone can fully understand it is by utilizing a fitness metaphor. And I like to think in terms of the 5 major contributors to physical fitness. And I'm sure all of you out there that are listening to this and watching this particular presentation are all physically fit. But just in case we're not quite as fit as we'd like to be due to some of the COVID-19 overeating habits that we may have formed, here are some of the elements of what I would argue is the primary elements of physical fitness. It's muscle building for strength, really aerobic fitness by running and exercising, flexibility by stretching, sleep. You need a good, hopefully 8 hours of sleep, which I did not get last night because it is about 3 a.m. my time here on the East Coast of the United States. And also a balanced nutrition in terms of meals. So why do I use this metaphor of 5 major contributors of physical fitness? When we think about it, being physically fit is not just one of these, it's all 5 of these. It's not good enough just to go into a gym and muscle build and be very strong. That's an important element, but it's not enough. It requires flexibility. It requires aerobics for good heart conditioning, good sleep, good eating habits, etc. And I use that as a way of being able to illustrate what I've referred to then as leadership agility fitness. And we introduced the Agile Model, as Leonardo indicated in the introduction. There are 5 major contributors to the Agile Model. The first is anticipating change, and all of these I'm going to go into in a bit more depth. And as you can see here represented, it happens to spell Agile. So hopefully for all of you, you can remember this very easily and see how it's implemented. But it is about anticipating change and generating confidence, initiating action, liberating thinking, and evaluating results. Leadership agility really applies to leaders in any role and every role, from business executives to business unit leaders, project managers, supervisors, etc. And even some of our co-hosts out here our Agile coaches can apply, leadership, agility. So let's think about it in terms of that metaphor. It really requires all 5 of those to be, I would say, at the optimal level of leadership agility fitness. Let me describe what that means from a personal perspective. So it applies both in your personal life as well as your work life. I live on the coast of North Carolina in the United States. And as you can see illustrated here, the coast of North Carolina is really positioned nicely for being able to really deal with hurricanes on an ongoing basis. And this was a particularly troublesome year for hurricanes. And as you can see illustrated here, we've got on the left-hand side, there's what's referred to as the spaghetti view of where a hurricane is going to land in terms of, in this case, North Carolina. It can be in a variety of different locations. And it's important to know that just because of the hurricane strength that you can see on the right-hand side of this particular slide with the type of destruction that it can cause. So in terms of personally applying the Agile model to this, it's important to be able to anticipate the change. Remember the Agile model, AGILE, anticipate change is one of the first things that we would be doing in preparing for and thinking about where is it going to hit, when is it going to hit, how strong is it? Is it a category 1? Is it a category 5 hurricane? And then generating confidence is working with your significant other to prepare for that. How do you pull in the furniture off of your decks? What do you do in terms of preparing yourself with enough water to be able to handle? What if the power supply goes off? Do you have a backup generator? And initiating action is about how quickly are you doing this? You don't wait around until the hurricane hits. You actually start going through this process. Liberating thinking means being creative and innovative in terms of what are some unique aspects. For example, in my case, we started filling bathtubs up full of water so that we would have access to plenty of water. So we wanted to make sure that all of those things were happening and we would be fully prepared. So that's an illustration in terms of how do you apply that at a personal level. And evaluating results, you can see some of the results of people who did not particularly plan real well and did not demonstrate agility with the boat sitting in their front yard. So let's go into a bit more detail on each of these capabilities as the leader. Remember now we're thinking about leadership agility. So anticipating change is really zeroing in on the identification of where are we going in the future, and it's really a way of thinking about what is informing us about what is happening. Sensing is about trend analysis and picking up on signals that are coming at you. Even for COVID-19 in the U.S., we knew that it was coming. The question was how fast, how far, how much was it going to spread? And then the question was, well, what are we doing about it? So anticipating change is one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest and most important capabilities to have in terms of leadership agility. Generating confidence is not only your self-confidence, but how do I generate confidence with my employees, my suppliers? In the case of COVID-19, many companies were challenged by suppliers not being able to deliver products on time. So it's about suppliers, it's about your employees, and it's connecting, aligning, engaging. We've certainly, and you've certainly talked about, how do we engage others in what we're trying to do in terms of our agile transformation? And this is very true in terms of demonstrating your leadership agility. A third component of leadership agility is initiating action. It's not good enough just to study and understand the change and the challenges that's coming at you, but what do you do about it? It's a bias for action. Decision making is oftentimes where many companies get bogged down in terms of who gets to make the decisions. Does it always get bumped up a couple of levels to senior management, or employees empowered to be able to make important and immediate decisions and very, very quickly, and the degree to which we're collaborating with each other on that. So now remember, we've talked about you're anticipating the change, you're also building confidence in what you're going to be doing with others, and the third is initiating action about speed at which things are getting done. But let's be creative, let's think outside the box. So hence, liberate thinking is about the role of leadership to help people think outside the box and create the kind of environment that says, we need your help as employees and as suppliers to help us understand what are some innovative ways, what are our customers telling us, and how do we go about doing that? The final component is evaluate results. How do we know what we did made a difference? So it really is about creating the kind of expectations and setting goals. It's about providing immediate feedback and real-time feedback with facts so that we know all of the information. Well, when you look at the past 20 years, and we've looked at leaders, literally several thousand leaders over the past 20 years of studying leadership agility, this is where we have found that leaders have been rating the ratings of leadership agility. And wouldn't you know it, anticipating change tends to be the weakest area overall. And I think if you thought about it yourself and you thought about the 5 areas and you think about what area am I stronger in, what area may I be weaker in, anticipating change is often thought about later on. That it's more about how do we respond to the change once it's actually landed on our doorstep. In this case, the emphasis needs to be on anticipating the change so that we can be preemptive and do something, in advance. Leadership agility fitness levels, I think, is an important concept to think about. Just as I talked about physical fitness, and it's important to have all 5 of those elements to be physically fit, it's very important to have all 5 of the elements of the Agile model of anticipating change and generating confidence. And you can see those again listed down below: anticipate change, generate confidence, etc. And the 5 levels really go from 0, in essence, we really are 6 levels. The fragile leaders have no strengths on any of the 5 drivers. They're not really strong at it, anticipating change or generating confidence, etc. All the way up to what I refer to as the VUCA masters, are those people that are really strong at all 5 of these. And you could align yourself once you do a self-assessment, or you go through a 360 assessment on your leadership agility. You may be located on any of those levels. And I think what's important is to know where you are and to be able to do something about that. So at any point in time, doing that assessment and identifying where you're going to be. And in fact, you'll find that in this presentation, which I'll make available to everybody, there is a brief assessment that you can take, 15 items, to give yourself a self-assessment in terms of where am I, in terms of what level am I, in terms of my leadership agility fitness. One way of doing a diagnostic that we've done for, again, about 20 years is what's referred to as the Leadership Agility 360. It's a 360-degree assessment where we do capture inputs from yourself, from your boss, from your peers, from your direct reports. And you'll see illustrated here where there are some strengths and weaknesses across all of the areas of the leadership agility profile. And you'll see too that we have a development guide that provides some developmental recommendations around each of those. A quick example of a company that fully embraced this and for about 5 years utilized leadership agility and the focus on leadership agility to assist and form a fundamental element of its agility transformation. And part of the process was to have all of their high potential leaders for a period of 5 years go through a process that allowed them to gain more knowledge through a leadership agility 360. And we trained internal coaches to provide that feedback so that leadership agility formed a core element of really the cultural change, the mindset change in terms of what the agility transformation was all about. And then 6 months subsequent to that, we administered something called an organizational agility profile to work with each business unit in terms of identifying where are the gaps, how do we close in on the gaps, what do we need to do to improve at anticipating change or generating confidence, et cetera. Very successful implementation, effort with Turner Broadcasting over a period of 5 years. And many of you know Turner Broadcasting as CNN or TBS, some of those other brand names out in the TV land. Here's the example of the takeaway that you probably can't read it all that well, but there are 15 items here. We'll provide as a takeaway for you to do your own self-assessment. I'll work through Santander to provide the slides so that you can use this to do your own self-assessment and find out where you think you are in terms of your overall leadership agility. And finally, I wanted to leave you with the idea that it doesn't stop here. Continual learning goes on. And so I'm publishing a book through the Business Agility Institute. And the title of the book is The VUCA Masters, Developing Leadership Agility Fitness for the New World of Work. I hope you find that in Q1, you'll find an opportunity to pick that up and hopefully gain some additional insights in terms of how you can apply leadership agility in your work world, but also in terms of how you can apply it in your personal world as well.